Before the launch of Star Wars Hunters, I did 12 different videos going over each of the hunters in the soft launch, providing you with some backstory to them, then explaining their abilities, and then finally finishing off with what kind of skins you can expect to see from them. And now that Aran Tal is finally here, I thought it would be good to actually go and visit him. But before I get into all of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to stay fully up to date with all things Star Wars Hunters. So Aran Tal is a Mandalorian damage hunter in Star Wars Hunters, meaning he has a pretty decent amount of health with 250 I believe, and a fairly solid damage output which could arguably be increased a little bit at the moment with his primary weapons, which are two MT97 blaster pistols. Aran is tragically the sole survivor of Clan Tal, who were, based on what I can gather from the Arena Pass and what we know about Mandalorian culture, all killed off in the Night of 1,000 Tears, where the Empire bombed Mandalore to the highest of heavens. I would absolutely love to learn so much more about him and the history of Clan Tal though, so hopefully we'll get to see more of that in the future. But finally, on his backstory, Mandalorians are also not particularly keen on bounty hunters, so he's not really a big fan of Amara Vex whatsoever, which will be displayed in a clash event at some point during this first season, which may even be happening right now as of this video going live anyway. As for his abilities, he has 4 in total, 3 active and an ultimate. His first ability is called Blast Back, which is essentially a dash with his jetpack that has 2 total charges, that when used will of course recharge over time, but the dash also does deal some pretty decent damage as well, so if there is an enemy with really low health, then it can actually be super useful to use, but then it's also useful to of course get out of situations or get into places fairly quickly. His next ability is called Tal's Breath, which simply fires a jet of fire out of his flamethrower, dealing some pretty decent damage, which when mixed with his dash can actually be a very lethal combo, and one I've used a number of times. Then there's Air Assault, which is where Aran will leap forward using his jetpack and slam into the ground, dealing some damage to anyone nearby. But what's great about this ability is whilst using it, you can actually still fire your blaster pistols, which can come in very handy, especially if an opponent is somewhat low. Finally, for his ultimate, this is called Fury of Clan Tal, which is where Aran will jump up into the air and hover around with his jetpack while spewing out a ton of fire from his flamethrower. The final thing that I wanted to go into though is of course what type of cosmetics can you actually expect to see with Aran. Well, given he is simply a Mandalorian, I think it's very clear to see that he'll get tons of skins based on a wide variety of Mandalorians. Already he has a skin based on Clan Vizsla, there's a Death Watch skin, a skin seemingly based on the Mandalorian Judge from Mando Season 3, and no doubt there will be plenty more on the way, which will hopefully include skins based on the likes of Din Djarin, Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, the Armorer, and many more, but we will just have to wait and see. That is pretty much everything you need to know about Aran Tal though, guys. Make sure you do check out the other hunter profiles as well if you haven't done so already. That is it from me today though. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.